Welcome to another episode from the closet of the Players Ball podcast. This closet is a resident of Stankonia. I'm your host, Alex the Great. I'm joined by MB. We're here to give you news you can use for ATLians by ATLians. We're going to get you started. We're going to entertain you, and we're going to give you some information that you're going to enjoy. Let's jump right in.
All right, man. So I've been thinking about this one quite a bit. One of the best memories I have when we were growing up was all the hours we spent at Theo's dad's house playing video games, playing Madden, playing 2K baseball, NBA 2K, all of them. So this week, either this week or last week, College Football 25, EA Sports officially announced, it's coming this summer, and they kind of previewed what the compensation package that they're offering to
Really?
Yeah, they're offering athletes that want to opt in $600 and a free copy of the game.
Really? That's the offer?
Yeah, that's their offer. I kind of expected your reaction. To me, I'm taking that $600 all day and the free copy. But I want to get your thoughts, genuine.
So have you seen anything about that being negotiable, or is it just flat rate? Every player is getting $600 if they opt in.
It's a flat rate. I haven't seen anything, but I would expect if they do a cover athlete that there may be an additional kickback, but flat rate, $600.
And if I don't opt in, I'm like M player, like it was back in the day.
Pretty much.
Like I have the number.
I don't know. They did say that they are going to prevent users from being able to create characters for players that opted out. So,
I don't know how they're gonna handle that. I mean, on the one side, not all college athletes are gonna make it to the league, right? So to be able to play as yourself on a video game, that just has an appeal to me, right? I would do it. The amount of money they're gonna make off this game, because I don't know if you remember Game Day. That was outside of 2K, right? The Game Day had all the Easter eggs, and it was a lot of fun. And there's a lot of codes, and that you could cheat or hype your team up. That was an entertaining game. It was like the Grand Theft Auto of football game, from what I remember. But it was huge. People loved that game, and I was a Madden guy. I played it, but I was a Madden guy through and through. Yeah, I would do it. $600. I do think that's somewhat of a not a slap in the face, because I don't know that most college athletes are getting NIL deals at this point. Like without knowing the percentage of athletes that are actually obtaining it, and then having an average valuation, maybe $600 is pretty good.
yeah.
But that'll only buy you like 2 books, right?
So I know it's not a lot of money when you look at it on an individual, basis, but the number of schools there are in the NCAA times the number of players that are in the NCAA, if all schools and all players opted in, I think it totals around $60 million or something like that in compensation that they would have to deal out. And then on top of that, the game costs to develop, are pretty substantial. So it seems on the micro level like, they're gonna make so much money and the players are getting screwed, but in the grand scheme of things, I don't really think that will be the case. Now, I do think there is a lot of hype, so they have tons of potential sales when it comes to this game. The last NCAA football game that came out was in 2014. Well, it came out in 2013, but it was NCAA 14. And people still play it to this day because people are just craving that NCAA football game, college football experience, build a dynasty, Heisman mode. I played many seasons back in the day with my favorite college, won several national championships, the whole nine. So,
is it the same college as it is now?
I mean, I've always been a fan of the same college, but there was a team that I enjoyed playing with as kind of like an underdog story, and that was the UCLA Bruins.
Okay.
Tried to beat Reggie Bush and the USC Trojans in that era.
The Trojans. Yeah, man. That was an epic era of college football.
Yeah. So
looks like that's back a little bit. Would you agree with that? Like, I know not a lot of the games were super competitive this playoffs, but like last playoffs, there were some really, really good games. And then I think probably the year before as well.
There tends to be, there's
CJ Stroud, he put on a show in his college football playoff.
There's only two, there's the semifinals and then the finals. So you have 3 playoff games technically each year. And there tends to be at least one good one.
Yeah.
This year, I think you had 2 pretty decent semifinals, and the final was just okay. So
yeah. Okay.
But yeah, so NCAA or college football 25 should be out this summer.
Same studio they used to do it?
Yeah, it's EA Sports.
EA?
Yeah, but there's 2 teams, 2 colleges that have already signed on. One is my alma mater. One is your alma mater. Would you go in and
Georgia State?
You gonna go in and be the Panthers?
Yeah. I mean, it cost me enough money. I was telling somebody that. I was talking to Theo and his cousin. We ran a 5K on Saturday, and we were on the way back. I think we passed through Georgia State, and I was like, "Yeah, man, I paid for that. I paid for that football program over there." Oh, we were passing. So they built this beautiful basketball arena. Right, you can see it from 20. It's got a window to the city, just like the Benz does. It's literally right up the road. It's on the corner of where you've been down there. You know where the torch is, where they lit the torch, that little bridge is right there. It used to be a parking lot. Now that's a basketball arena. And Turner Field is the football arena. So they have like a legit sports complex that can't take credit for basketball. I was long gone at that point. But, I take credit for that football team, man. They raised my tuition up high enough to where I feel partially responsible for that being developed.
Yeah, I saw renderings a long time ago of the long-term plan for the Turner Field and the parking lot and the surrounding areas, and their plans were to build, baseball stadium, the whole 9 in that area. So it's pretty cool.
I think there's a lot more to go, but yeah, they've come a long way for sure. Like they have a football practice stadium over there as well. Well, it's next to the smokestack. Can't think of the name right now, but yeah, that side of the highway was never Georgia State, and now it is.
Yeah. So Georgia State has a new football head coach. I didn't know if you're aware.
I am. Stole him right from the Dogs, right?
Yeah, Dell McGee. He's been the running backs coach since 2016 for the Georgia Bulldogs. He coached a lot.
I'm gonna throw this back to you. What does that mean for the Panthers? Because I'm not familiar with. I saw it, right, and I'm a huge fan of the program that he came from. Very successful program. Is this the first of Kirby Smart's tree to plant and grow roots?
Dan Lanning, I would say, is the first of the Kirby Smart tree. He's out in Oregon. He's taking that program back to the glory days. They should be primed for title contention this year. But
Oregon?
Oregon.
Mm.
They are moving to the Big Ten, so there will be some additional interest just because the competition level will be much greater than what they were in the Pac-12. But they should be, top of the Big Ten with how they recruit and how they've gotten players out of the portal.
Got that big Phil Knight money.
Oh yeah. But Dell's a solid coach. I mean, he's a great recruiter. He will definitely do well, I think, at Georgia State. Kind of a random fact is his son is a running back and will be a freshman running back at Georgia State this year. So that was, I think, a little added incentive for him to go take over as head coach, get an opportunity to coach his son.
Yeah.
But he's coached some crazy players. Sony Michel, Nick Chubb, DeAndre Swift, James Cook, Zamir White, Kendall Milton,
Jeez.
who will be, a rookie this upcoming year. So
going into the draft.
Yeah, and then Dejon Edwards as well going into the draft this year. But yeah, that's a hell of a lineup.
That's a list of dogs, literally, right?
Yeah, so no, I think it's good for him. It's good for Georgia State. UGA has already named his replacement. I forget what the guy's name is. It's, I think, James Conley or James something with a C. He was the wide receivers coach from Georgia Tech. He actually played running back, so he's at least familiar with the position. And I think the Dogs will be okay, and I think Georgia State got themselves a good one. So,
we had a rival for a while there, who's just kind of fell all the way off. I've always marketed us like historically, it's true, but I've always marketed the Panthers as the real GSU, right? Not GSOU like Georgia Southern. There was a back and forth for years because we would go, house divided. My wife went to Georgia Southern, and her friends are awesome. They've become some of my friends. But we'll go to the tailgate together, and I'll be there repping with my Panthers gear on, and they'll have their Eagles, go Eagles, and all their, they have a lot more fanhood than I've experienced being a Panther, but I stand there with pride, and generally we win. So there was a back and forth in the early throws. It's been Georgia State for as far as football is concerned, for like the last 4 or 5 games. So we need a new rival, man. Is Southern Poly gonna step up?
the Running Hornets are no longer. It is now the KSU Owls.
Are they Owls now?
Well, KSU has always been the Owls, but Southern.
No, I mean Southern Poly was brought into the fold. Yeah,
Southern Poly was a NAIA affiliate. They weren't part of the NCAA. But yeah, they merged, and right around the time that they did the merger, the football program was launched, and they've been very successful in the few years. I mean, they run kind of a triple option type scheme. Kind of, it's gimmicky, but it's competitive. So they went, I think, to a couple Division II Final Fours or Elite Eights, because Division II has a pretty big playoff system, or FCS.
I thought they made the tournament last year. They're in the big tournament.
Are you talking about March Madness?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basketball.
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about for
I was
college
talking about for
football.
football, yeah.
Got it.
But yeah, they've already announced that they're going to be in EA Sports College Football 25. So I may have to run one with them. You know, build them
Yeah,
up.
we can shoot that out. We can shoot that out, man.
Yeah. So the other
Definitely for the universities, I wouldn't see any university opting out. Right. I mean,
I don't think they're.
just for brand recognition alone is worth it.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. There's a few sites on online that have trackers for like who's opted in so far, who's opted out. I don't think anyone's technically publicly opted out, but you have some pretty big name players that have opted in. Most of your schools have opted in. Carson Beck, he's opted in, so Lambeau Beck. I don't know if you heard that.
Lambeau Beck.
Yeah.
No, I know about that.
Quinn Ewers, the Texas quarterback, has opted in. Pretty much all your big name quarterbacks have opted in. The running back from Michigan has opted in. Couple.
Can I play with a Manning?
I haven't heard his name yet, but I'm sure
that's an expensive name, man. That's gonna cost you more than $600.
I'm sure he'll opt in. Yeah. So kind of interesting on the NIL front. Well, two things. We'll start with tennis. The University of Tennessee got in kind of some hot water recently with the NCAA over some recruiting violations in the eyes of the NCAA and NIL. I believe the story was they flew Nico. At the time, he was a high school senior. They were recruiting to come play quarterback. He will be their starting quarterback next year, but he was a freshman this past season, and he just sat redshirted. But they flew him on a private plane or on a helicopter or something, and the NCAA was up in arms and was doing an investigation, and the university basically clapped back and took legal action against the NCAA and won.
They won?
And they won. And this has huge ramifications because...
that's unprecedented, right? They're the evil empire.
Yeah, so basically the Supreme Court, I don't know if it was the state Supreme Court or what, but they determined that the NCAA basically has no authority to enforce rules regarding name, image, and likeness because the student athletes are not employees of the universities, nor are they employees of the NCAA. So we can pretty much call the NCAA as we know it dead because they no longer have any authority to enforce any of these rules.
Yeah, I mean, RIP for all they were doing. And then, so wasn't there another lawsuit? Didn't Florida State sue? I know they were they had a grievance with them because they were undefeated and they didn't make it into the playoff.
Well,
I don't know if they sued. Is the playoff committee a different governing body than the NCAA?
Yeah, so the college football playoff is its own entity all in of itself. So it's not even affiliated with NCAA. But Florida State also has some litigation going on. They're trying to get out of their grant of rights contract. So basically, all of these schools have contracts within their conferences, and they allow, or they're part of the bargaining and negotiation that go on with the television contracts. And so they have what's called a grant of rights. I'm not going to go into the technicalities of it, but essentially the ACC has locked up all of its schools to a pretty tight contractual obligation that will not allow FSU or any other school to leave the conference without owing an exorbitant amount of money, like hundreds of millions of dollars. And FSU, after getting left out of the CFP and the conference realignment that has gone on with, Oregon and USC and
Pac-10,
basically the dissolution of the Pac-12 and Texas and Oklahoma joining the SEC, there are schools in the ACC. FSU has been the most vocal, but there's schools in the ACC that want to get out. They want to join other conferences because there's just a general bad opinion around the sport about the conference, and there's a belief that it's what held FSU out of the CFB. So
that they were part of ACC football. I mean, ACC football used to be, pretty solid, though. You had Miami, Georgia Tech, Clemson, but it feels like once Clemson took over, everyone else just kind of tanked. They were winning the ACC by default, but they were also winning national championships, so it wasn't like that they weren't talented. They were very talented squads, but I can see where those opinions would come from on the ACC just kind of being a weaker conference. And yeah, you won your conference, but it's the ACC. We don't need you here.
Yeah, I think the ACC in general is viewed more as like a basketball conference and
basketball strong,
an academic conference. I mean, you have Duke, UNC, Georgia Tech, very prestigious academic schools.
All very good at basketball. Georgia Tech is, has had some down years.
Yeah, but they want out. So that's the lawsuit that's ongoing with FSU. But this is pretty wild because it has the potential to destroy a lot of athletics within different universities, because football basically reigns supreme in terms of revenue generation, and they share with the other, department. I mean, they share with the athletic department, but UGA's football program and their championships have funded, new golf courses and new tennis complexes and different things for the entire athletic department. So if college football, which it's leaning more and more and more towards becoming its own kind of entity that is has a commissioner that isn't ruled by a governing body such as the NCAA, a lot of that money, these players may become actual employees, right, with profit share, and you will see the wealth stay within football at the expense of a lot of these other programs. So it'll be real interesting to see what happens, and it's not going to be an immediate thing, right? We're talking years away, but the seeds have kind of been planted with this ruling that the NCAA really has no teeth to do anything.
I mean, yeah, it definitely feels like that's already the case, right? With the results of this NIL lawsuit that you talked about, I didn't know. I thought they were at least, overseers of the college football playoff committee. What do they do?
Well,
Do
when it comes to college football, basically nothing at this point. They used to govern, rules and recruiting, and I don't know about the BCS. I don't know how it was structured, if it was part of the NCAA. But when you get that championship trophy, I think you've maybe seen some of the trophies for other sports where it has the big plaque with the NCAA seal. You don't
Bright
get
blue.
Yeah, you don't get that with football, and you haven't in some years. So I don't really think
I didn't peep that. Yeah.
I don't think
guess that's
they've
true.
done anything outside of been more of like a enforcement agency, and now all their power has basically been stripped.
No to
Yeah.
your point.
Yeah, I will say that there's a lot of life to some of the conspiracy theories with the fact that the CFP is an entirely separate entity that has big deals with the likes of ESPN, and ESPN is in bed with certain conferences, and so incentivizing certain schools to get preferential treatment when it comes to that whole selection process.
And Disney runs the world, so
yeah, pretty much.
They own ESPN. I found there was a nugget dropped earlier that I wanted to drop on you. And you tell me if you heard of this and how crazy it is. Ole Miss quarterback Jackson Dart has made NIL history. You heard of this?
Oh, yeah.
Becoming the first athlete to sign with a private jet company, and through the deal with Nicholas Air, he can use the company's fleet of jets for travel, training, and philanthropy. All right, so you got this college senior who you say is getting, well, they didn't get Tennessee in trouble. Tennessee ended up, bashing the NCAA about that. But then to have this kid that's literally sponsored by jets, wheeling and dealing like Ric Flair across the country, is wild, bro. It's not sustainable.
No, it's not.
It's gonna collapse. We're watching Rome be built. Well, Rome was already built. We're watching it collapse.
I saw some figures tonight. I was going to say one of the cool things about the NFL Combine and some of these athletes that have declared for the NFL, especially big names that have gone through a couple years of this NIL. So like Caleb Williams is one of the names. He was, he had 2 years of NIL deals at USC. He's probably the biggest name in NIL space to be headed to the draft. And you're finally seeing some real published figures on what their earnings were. And so basically over the last 2 years, he's earned $10 million, which is much lower if you really look at and go back and look at what his valuations have been. But you still break that down into 2 seasons, averaging about $5 million a year. And Bryce Young, number 2, 3 pick in the NFL draft, or was he number 1? No, CJ was number 1, right? Houston had the first pick.
No, Bryce Young went number 1.
Okay, I know there was a lot of back and forth on who was going to go number 1. Either way, his cap hit last year was $3 million.
Really?
So CJ Stroud,
that's a perspective setter.
As a sophomore and junior in college, he might have been a redshirt senior or a redshirt junior, was making more than the number 1 draft pick in the NFL.
Yeah, he was playing like it too. He had a terrible rookie season.
Yeah.
I don't think he had a whole lot of help, but, I want our division. I want everybody to be trash but the Falcons. The other thing, you mentioned Caleb Williams. It's gone. Never mind.
But yeah, I'm with you. I don't think it's sustainable. The Jackson Dart story is wild. I saw an interview. It was Aaron Murray and Brooks Austin. They were just talking about this, and Aaron Murray was talking about how if back in his day he had an airline deal, private jet, he would just walk down Millage Street in downtown Athens, just telling girls, I got a private jet. Yeah, he's like,
want to go.
He said it would have gotten him in a lot more trouble than he already did. He didn't need the extra help, but
it's a wild world, man. Things are crazy right now.
I mean, you got quarterbacks, seniors in college, driving $300,000 Lamborghinis.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if I was 24, 23 years old and I had that kind of money, you know, I'd be blowing it on Lambos too. But it is a wild world we live in the college sports world.
I hope some of them young men caught like some 25K, 30K Bitcoin, man, just holding it.
Yeah.
They can really be set.
Yeah, Bitcoin. Whew, this is not financial advice, but Bitcoin's on the rise.
Yeah. I got a little something.
So I've mentioned it a couple times already. The NFL Combine, aka the Underwear Olympics, it got underway this week.
Yeah, I saw that.
Did you happen to see any of Raheem Morris's comments?
I didn't. I heard about him talking about evaluating the quarterback class.
Well, no, there was one quote in particular that stands out to me where he says, if we had better quarterback play last year, then I'm probably not here. Meaning, if the QB position played better last year in Atlanta, Raheem Morris is not our coach because we make the playoffs.
Arthur Smith keeps his job.
Yeah. And Arthur Smith keeps his job. So I thought that was a pretty bold statement in general. I think it's 100% accurate, but for him to come out and basically call out that position as the failure point says a lot about kind of where they're headed, in my opinion, and that is not Desmond Ridder.
It's kind of damning for him, right? Which is odd that he would make such a blunt statement after Zach Robinson has thrown at least a few nuggets his way in terms of, you know, belief. Like, yeah, he's got a lot of potential. I'm working with him, seeing what he can do. Well, that's a complete 180.
I think Desmond Ridder is still on the roster next year, so I think he has to say some things, you know, somewhat tactfully, because I still think they want to develop him to some degree. Because Tyler Heineke, you know, he's under contract, but I think he'll be released, and Desmond Ridder will be your backup. So you can't just go out and just completely, you know, trash the man publicly.
Like, you mean like Raheem Morris did at the Combine? That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They say, if it wasn't for this guy, him, there he is, him right there, I wouldn't even be coaching, man. Maybe he's thanking him, like, oh, thanks for playing so terribly. No, he's trashing that man.
Yeah. So I have a question for you, but I want to get your opinion on this first. So Raheem's statement pretty much points in we're either drafting a quarterback, signing one in free agency, or trading for one. The Vegas odds changed again. So we were at -110. They're now at -250. So that means...
Oh, they went the other way.
No. They continue to increase the odds that he's coming to Atlanta. So that number getting higher. So if the odds -110, it means that in order to make...
I'm thinking plus.
Yeah, plus is, you know, the odds go the other direction. But at -250, which is where it last was when I looked, you have to put down $250 in wager to make $100. So your money output isn't very good. Like, it better be a sure thing, because your return is terrible.
Whereas, and let me just make sure I understand the odds game. So if you're at plus 500 and you go to plus 750, you can make more money, but that's because there's less belief that that's actually going to occur.
Right. So if it's plus 750, I believe $100 bet gives you a $750 profit.
Right.
Whereas the negative direction,
on the minus side, you're less than 100%.
Yeah, so if it was negative 750, you would make $100, you would have to bet $750.
Right. It's a reverse, converse, reverse,
Inverse. Yeah.
inverse. There it is.
So that's a perfect segue into the question I was going to ask. The Underwear Olympics. What test, what skill, what are you crushing? What are you going out there? Where are you becoming a star?
Me, myself?
Yeah, you.
Oh man, I would say at this point probably route running, just off the top. I'm not super fast. I'm not crushing it at the 40. Is it 225 or 215?
It's 250, I think, or 225. Yeah.
So 2 plates. I'm not doing a whole lot of those. There was a time where I could probably do a little 10. I might get it up once, twice now. I don't know. I've been doing push-ups. I actually feel my upper body feels pretty strong. I might be able to do it 5 times. I know basketball, I think, is 215, which I guess it makes sense. But 40 times not going to be fast. Not repping out the bench. Not super agile, right? So agility tests aren't going to be my speed either. But you give me an out route, I can do that, and I'm gonna catch the ball.
Yeah.
What are you tearing up, man?
Man, I'm crushing that Wonderlic test.
Oh yeah. I actually started taking the sample test. I was sitting in the garage. The car was still on. You heard that this morning, or was that something you were already familiar with?
Oh, I was already familiar with it. I always think it's hilarious when you have these like quarterbacks that come out and they score terribly on the Wonderlic. It's basically an IQ test. So they publicly just say, you're an idiot.
You're dumb. No, they had some good questions on there when I was going through it. I'll ask you one, see if you can get it. A brother is half of his sister's age. She's 24. How old is he when she's 36?
24.
Yeah. So I asked it wrong. It's supposed to be up, like you want to double it. I was supposed to give you the brother's age. Say he's 17, his sister's twice as old. How old is the sister when he's 20? Right, and a lot of people will want to say
40.
She's 34. Now she's 40. Right,
Yeah.
Right. That's exactly it. Yeah. I got that right though. It timed out on me. It was a long test, man. It was 50 questions in 10 minutes. I wasn't gonna finish, but I think a lot of them that I got were correct.
Yeah. The other one that I'm crushing is the physical, the injury evaluation.
Is there a piss test? I can pass that.
Yeah, there is. There's a drug
That's
test.
A clean piss.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm crushing the drug test too, but
yeah.
They now have one that is like I can't even pronounce the name of the test off memory, but it tests your joint and like bone health.
Fail. Well, bone, I think I'm good, but my knee is struggling right now.
Yeah, I mean, I got my elbows are good, my wrists are good, my knees are good, my ankles are good, but I do have a bum shoulder, so I don't know how that would test out. It does pretty well. I mean, I still lift, and it doesn't give me pain, but I do move it sometimes, and it pops and cracks. And
I can make my knee hurt right now just by putting my foot down and turning my ankle out. Oof, that hurts right there.
Yeah,
but that's an injury though. It's not like and it has been nagging, but it hasn't been something that's over years. That happened at the graduation, Theo's graduation party.
Oh man, so that's recent.
Yeah. Tore me up though, man. I was outside chasing them damn kids, and one of the older kids, he had a little speed to him, but I caught him. But he put a little juke. He went left, and I had tried to slow. I was already starting to slow down because he was within reach, and I was like, I was talking trash, slow, and I went to reach him, and he juked me, so I missed on the tag, and then I tried to immediately go back full speed and some Yeezy boosts. It was not a good thing.
Mm.
I've been hurting ever since. I probably exacerbated the injury a little bit. Last week or 2 Fridays ago, I had some folks over. I have a goal. I have a basketball goal on the door to my garage. One of those hang up ones, but it's nice, man. It's got like a plexiglass backboard, and it gives you a countdown, 1 minute countdown. And the kids were playing on that, and one of the kids that was over, he's a little older in age now. He's like how old is he? He's got to be 7 going on 8. So he's a basketball fan. He knows basketball players, right? And he said he did a dunk. Right, he was trying to do a dunk where he was throwing it off the wall. I said, "Oh man, you know who created that dunk? That was Tracy McGrady, man. Let me tell you what T Mac did. Matter of fact, I'm gonna show you." So I go back to the back of the living room. I take off full speed, throw it off the wall, catch it, go between my legs, and I yam it like flush, successful dunk. But in the process of doing that, I did not land on both of my feet. I literally fell. We had this hallway by the front door. I literally fell like 5 feet down the hallway. Crashed and banged into everything. People came running over like, "Oh my gosh, you all right?" Like, yeah. I had to jump up. Like, "Oh yeah, I'm fine. Don't worry about it." Knee hurt a lot more. Butt cheek was on fire. Right. Um, but I did run that 5K, so I feel youthful.
So you might fail the physical and injury evaluation at the combine.
Yeah. No, I'm actually pretty sure that I would.
Are
They
there
did it.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go for it. Go
I
for
was
it.
gonna say, are there any players that you're looking forward to seeing how they do combine wise?
Yeah. I think one in particular is Michael Penix Jr. I don't know. So they said Jaden Daniels and I think Drake May, maybe Caleb Williams, that they're not gonna throw.
Yeah, I think
Right.
it's
So
pretty common now that the top quarterbacks, they just don't go through
right.
the throwing drills, but
Mm-hmm.
I think they may still run 40s, and of course they'll do the testing. So
So I think Michael Penix, because I think we could scoop him up with a later pick. Like we wouldn't have to part with that 8. We could still do what we needed to do, whether that's a defensive lineman or an offensive lineman. I would like to see what he does in the combine. I heard he had a good showing at the Senior Bowl, and if we could bring him in, I don't think if we draft him where he would come in, I don't think there's immediate pressure for him to come in and succeed. It does mean that we're gonna have to give D Riddy some games, and
mm.
that's who he's learning from. But if Zach Robinson is the quarterback whisperer, which they say he is, then maybe it can all work out.
So we don't need D Riddy teaching him how to throw picks.
We do not, and he'd teach him. He's a master of that, right? Master
Yeah.
class of turning that rock over. There was a picture of the combine that I saw. It was like these players, and I'm sure maybe it's always been like this, but it was these players like on these podiums with microphones, and I guess it was coaches and GMs just kind of going through and interviewing all these guys like a speed dating sesh. That looked super weird and uncomfortable. I don't know. I was like, ugh, that just seems gross. I don't want to stand up there and I mean, you have to go through it. It is a job. We talked about that last week. That is a job interview, the combine of sorts, like a job evaluation test. If you can do the role that you're being hired for, but that aspect of it, just standing there on that podium and being peppered with questions and I don't know, that's like performance art, man. I didn't like that. It looked weird.
Yeah, I mean, I get it from a business standpoint. Like you said, it's an interview process. I think the combine in and of itself is kind of dated, and they could probably figure out something else to do to evaluate these guys. You know, they're going to turn around and do in facility interviews and workouts and stuff. So, I mean, the combine honestly is just to keep the narrative talking about,
keep the eyes on the NFL.
Yeah, just as you talked about, I think last week or the week before. So, yeah, I'm probably not going to tune in to be honest, but I do enjoy from time to time getting to see little clips of how some Georgia players performed in the 40 or what coaches say. I mean, that was a pretty golden nugget that Raheem provided when he was interviewed in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So
don't fight in front of company, man.
Yeah.
What just in reference of what they're gonna do, right? I'm sure you've looked at as many mock drafts as I. That thing is always changing. What would you do with the 8? What would you do with the 8 and quarterback?
I don't know. I go back and forth with this. I think it all depends on who's available at 8. If we stay at 8, I would love a world where we could get a quarterback without having to leverage draft capital, and we could use that 8th pick for bona fide pass rusher. We need to amp up that defensive line a little bit. I don't know if we're going to
Who is that?
I think Dallas Turner is a name that a lot of people,
yeah.
And I've watched him play quite a bit, and him being at Alabama and in the SEC, and he's strong. Like he's a solid pick, but with all of them, it's a gamble, right? It's kind of a crapshoot. So
yeah.
But I think that would be an interesting pick. There's also a cornerback, from Alabama that would be solid, or a safety. I don't know what he'll project as in the NFL, but
you would do them at 8?
Maybe not, but you could trade back and get more picks. Either way, the positions that I'm looking at are defense edge rusher, defensive tackles, D-line help, and then cornerback, safety, and then offensive line. And I think I'm prioritizing them in that order. Now, if we're going to draft a quarterback, just put a quarterback in front of that. So it'd be QB, edge, defensive line, cornerback, safety, offensive line. But I saw a really, really interesting tweet, and it was a video that Justin Fields' agent actually posted, and it's Justin reacting, excited about something, and you kind of hear him say something along the lines of, "I'm going home," or "I'm ready to go home." And all the speculation is the deal's done. I don't know if they can officially do anything until March 13th, because that's when the league opens. Yeah. I don't know if they would make it public yet or not. So it's kind of
after watching that clip of him next to Vic, man. I'm a fan of it. I think, especially what they're saying we would have to give up for him, right? Maybe a second. And there's still a chance. I was looking at that. I read an article about Calvin Ridley. The Jags need him. Right? He performed for them. He was a 1,000-yard receiver. They need him. They can't afford to let him go to the free agent market because it's really just him and Mike Evans. And you only need one or the other. No one's in a position to choose between those two guys. They're not the same wide receiver.
Yeah, I agree they do need him, and the GM openly came out and said, the pick.
We want him back, right?
Well, he said the pick doesn't really matter if it's a second or a third. That's not really factoring in their negotiation. That they're just gonna have talks and try and work something out, and if it happens before or after that date, so be it. But it does seem like there may be some legitimate talks going on to try and re-sign him.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see.
So if we get that third, my point there was if we get that third, if that comes in and converts to a second because they re-sign him, I blow that. Give me Justin Fields for that.
Yeah. I think the thing I like about potentially doing Justin Fields in Atlanta would be, he's going to pack the stadium. He's going to have a lot of excitement in and around him, which is good for the team. I do think he has tremendous athletic ability. If he can develop as a quarterback a little bit more with better weapons around him, then that would be, fantastic. He's got good size. He runs the ball well. Like, he's got the tools. It's just putting them all together. And then, he's from Georgia. So I always root for the hometown kid, right? ATLians for life.
ATLians.
So I do like all those aspects. And I do think from a compensation standpoint, it is lower risk, higher reward potential, right? If it's a second or a third that you can give up to get them, then that's really not a lot in value.
You can still do a lot with that eighth, right? You don't have to give that up. That's not, I haven't seen anywhere that they say that would be in play.
And as long as you're not going into future drafts, right? If you're not touching next year, then if it doesn't work out, you don't give him his 5th year option and you draft a quarterback next year, right?
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot less to gamble with a Justin Fields than there would be, signing a Captain Kirk or Russell Wilson, or even taking a flyer on the guys in this draft. I do think though, if you're, sitting with a 3rd round and Michael Penix Jr. is on the board, you take him.
Yeah,
and
I think so too.
Then let Ritter and Heineke walk after, camp.
You need one of them. Who's going to be your backup?
It would be.
You said he had injury woes. That's why I bring that up because I didn't know that about him.
Well, if I take Penix with a 3rd pick, I'm still in the mindset of I'm trading or signing a quarterback. So in that scenario, you still have Justin Fields as your number 1, and Penix would be your backup.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I will say the biggest risk with Fields is he's in the last year of his rookie deal. We can give him a 5th year option. I don't remember what the exact figure is, but it's like a $35 million guaranteed cap hit for that 5th year. And then you have to sign him long term or cut him loose, and then you're back to square one.
Right.
So.
Okay. Yeah, I'm curious to see what they do. They already making moves as far as trying to free up some money. You saw Jonnu Smith no longer with the team.
Yeah. I don't know.
What do you think? it's weird. I saw Demo pushed that out there, and I went and read on it. They were saying that Zach Robinson doesn't really run two tight end sets, right? And if you have a healthy Kyle Pitts, especially considering the draft capital you used to get him, he's gonna be your guy. So they didn't need them both, right? He wasn't gonna put up that kind of production, but he was a hell of a safety valve.
Yeah, I mean, he performed well. I mean, I'll give him that. And there are some comments out there that kind of worry me when it comes to the Kyle Pitts, discussion and how it'll be used. And we'll just have to wait and see what shows up on Sundays. But I saw something like they were going to line him up in more of a traditional tight end role. And we all know Kyle Pitts cannot block.
He cannot, man.
So
he needs to be like Jimmy Graham.
If that's truly the plan, to put him with his hand in the dirt and use him in the run game, we are in trouble when it comes to that position. So
I like to see him do a design screen.
Yeah.
You remember that? Is it the jet sweep? What was the Julio play that they used? They ran it way too much.
Yeah,
they sniffed that thing out all the time.
Little bubble screen, wide receiver screen.
Bubble screen, yeah. I want to see what he can do with that.
I mean, he housed it a few times. I love that play. Because
I did love it, but then they just started. They would snip that out, right? They couldn't hide it, couldn't mask it anymore. He definitely and he still would have some level of success, but it wasn't as explosive. It wasn't special. It wasn't. That was like our Philly special there for a minute. Like whenever that was in play, there's a good chance he was about to take the things to the crib.
Yeah, but for Julio, it matched his style of play, right? He was big, physical. Matt Ryan couldn't really throw the best deep ball. He had pretty decent completion percentages throwing the deep ball, but we all know receivers have a lot to do with that as well. And he could never lead the receiver deep, right? They always
had to slow down.
Always had to come back to it. So I thought that bubble screen just leaned on the strengths. Julio was king of the yak.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what we're missing. We don't have that, yak yards after catch receiver.
Well, not receiver, no. I'm going to say Mr. Bijan, Mr. 2K.
Yeah.
Bijan 2K.
Yeah, we'll see.
He's a yak guy. But, that first year Kyle Pitts played, his rookie year, he had a lot of success, 1,000-yard season. He had some good runs after the catch in that season. He's supposed to be built for that same style, and if he's fully healthy, I would like to see what he can do with that thing, man.
Yeah, I mean, he's another one they're going to have to make a decision on whether or not to exercise his fifth-year option. I don't remember.
Oh, was he was the same draft as Justin Fields?
Yeah, and I don't recall the cap figure, but I think it's like between 15 and 20 million guaranteed is what he would get if they give him that fifth-year option. So, but yeah, I'm ready to see what happens. I mean, we're about 2 weeks away to the start of the season, so start of the official NFL year. So we should start hearing some things one way or another pretty soon.
Yeah, man. I'm excited for it. I also want to just kind of get it over with. I always like that first game, man. That home opener, getting in there, renewed optimism, and seeing what they're going to give me. Because they started off strong this year, man. They got in there, and they handled their business against, I think it was Carolina was the opener.
Yeah, it was.
We'll see what they do this year, though. I don't know. A lot riding on it for me. Am I gonna be a season ticket holder anymore? Am I trading all this Falcons gear in? Right, I'm in the closet. Got jersey, hat. I guess that's it. That's in here. I got some t-shirts, bunch of t-shirts out there. So
Yeah.
we just got a jersey.
Yeah, I mean, it will be a big year for them. Kind of see if they can complete the rebuild, right? I feel like the last 2 years we've kind of remained in limbo as we were supposed to be rebuilt and just failed, right? And just the foundation just kind of
I don't know.
crumbled.
Last year was the first year I had real expectations because of the money. Right, we got out of that cap hell officially. We got a reprieve the year before, but last year it just opened up, and we saw what they did with that money. They had a lot of success in spending it. I'm hoping that they can replicate that this year, right? Fill some of those holes that you mentioned. Maybe we'll have to draft somebody at safety and cornerback if they pay somebody to come in. I have not looked at the free agents in that regard, but I got some belief that Terry will do well with that money.
Yeah, and that cap is going up $30 million. So we should have a good amount of cash to spend.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I'm excited. A couple other local teams have started their season or getting preseason. So Atlanta United had their first official regular season matchup and they took a loss on the road in Columbus. Didn't watch the game because the MLS is stupid and sold their rights to Apple, and I refuse to pay for Apple TV or $100 a year MLS subscription. But I did listen to some of it on the radio, and I don't know. I was pretty hopeful going into the season. It started out pretty rough, so they have some work to do to.
Well, Columbus, they didn't win it, right? But they beat us in the playoffs. It wouldn't have been super shocking to lose to them. They weren't. It wasn't like a gaggle of bums came in. They were a solid team. I didn't watch it either. They were a solid team, at least.
Yeah.
Like we lost to rival Orlando City,
But the biggest thing that Atlanta United struggled with last year was playing on the road. If they were just a home team that, or if they could have matched their success on the road as they had at home, they would have been like a top 2 team in the league. So going into the season, better performances on the road is really what you're gauging their improvement by, right?
Yeah.
They got to improve that part of their game, and they started on the road and they took an L. So we'll see. We'll see how they do next week.
Hey man, turn that frown upside down,
Yeah.
man. There was I know they have didn't they made a play in the offseason, and then they buy somebody.
They brought in a few players.
The same team coming back.
They brought in a few players. They're all foreign European players, and I don't know much about them, to be honest, so I don't want to talk too much on it. But they're supposed to help fortify the defense in the midfield. Their attacking players are all the same as what they were last year.
Giakoumakis.
Yeah, Giakoumakis, Thiago Almada. You got the local Caleb Wiley out there. Brooks Lennon, a couple of the same familiar.
I think Julian Gressel's on Columbus, actually.
I think he's He might be. He was in
Yeah.
DC and then he got traded again. I think he's moved a couple times last year. He was one of my favorite original Five Stripes. My favorite still.
Oh yeah, no, he did get moved again though. He's down there with Messi.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
Miami.
my favorite original Five Stripe is Miguel Almiron. Yeah. So I do play a little bit of FC24, which is what FIFA has become. And I got my created player. I was an Atlanta United star, and I requested to sign a contract with Newcastle just so I could play with Miguel Almiron. I just wish I had a way to do the Dragon Ball Z celebration with him when I score. Yeah. Yeah. There was actually a really cool video. Newcastle played in like a friendly or an exhibition game last year at Mercedes-Benz, and he happened to score. And when he scored, he ran over the side and he did the fusion to air in homage to him and Joseph's run, even though Joseph wasn't on the field.
Joseph Martinez. That was one of the first that my first game, man. I remember that chant. That thing is crazy.
Yeah, it's wild how they burst onto the scene with so much energy, so much hype. The style of gameplay was exciting to watch. They were successful.
Oh, yeah,
they won a championship in their second year. Everyone's like, oh, the Atlanta sports curse is gone. They broke it. And now they've, kind of fallen into the middle of the pack. And I can't help.
Break it, though. They got the Braves. They got the Braves in their championship. The Falcons are 2 years out.
Yeah. I mean, the Dogs did get 2 back-to-back.
Dogs got back-to-back. Like, yeah, no. That's they broke it. It's broken.
They robbed them of an opportunity to get a third, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah.
That was a bad beat.
We'll have to get to a United game again this year. Honestly, beyond the Braves, Atlanta United's the only professional sports team that I've watched live in like the last 3 years.
Yeah, I know they're not very good, but we gotta get to a Hawks game. The game experience is still top notch.
Well, not according to their attendance numbers.
Yeah. I mean, we'll have to catch somebody coming in, but seats shouldn't be that bad. We get some good seats for the lows just because there's nobody buying them right now. And that the arena is really good. I like the arena.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it before. I haven't seen it since it became State Farm, and they did all the it was probably
State Farm.
It was probably
Phillips.
I think it was State
have
Farm.
You been to State Farm?
I'm pretty sure I've been to State Farm, but I haven't seen it since they did all the renovations. But I enjoyed it before.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the other team that got underway, they've got a couple Grapefruit League games in the books. So they started off really nice with Michael Harris going yard with the first pitch.
Yes, sir.
But they've kind of tailed off in the last couple games. They're playing some pretty fragmented lineups. Michael Harris has played quite a bit, and Kelnick has played a lot. Other than that, most of the starting defensive players haven't really played.
Yeah.
Matt Olson, Austin Riley. I think Marcelo Zuna started at first in the first game, and then he DH'd in a game. But they've all played in pretty limited time. and the outcome hasn't been all that great. They've, I think, lost 3, and then today they tied the Phillies, which the Phillies came out and played, I want to say, like 6 innings with basically their starting defense. I mean,
pitcher too, or was he in and out?
No, I think they routinely switch pitcher like every 2 innings. That's pretty common. But you had Castellanos, you had JT Real Muto, you had Bryce Harper, you had Baum. They were all playing.
Alex Baum,
yeah. And they played a pretty significant portion of the game. I want to say it was like the 5th or the 6th inning that they took them out for some other people. But only Michael Harris and Kelnick started for the Braves of note. The rest
no one else? No Ozzie? No.
Nobody. AJ Smith-Shawver got the start, and he let up 3 runs in the first. So it was...
I don't know if he's making a rotation. I did see, Chris Sale, he pitched his 2 innings. Perfect outing. Struck out 4 out of the 6. He hit, I think, 97. He topped out on his fastball. So that is good to see, man. If we can keep that guy healthy, sky's the limit.
Sale, Fried, Strider, they've all pitched extremely limited, like 2 innings, but they've all put up scoreless innings, multiple strikeouts. They look ready to go. We did get to see some action from Tyler Matzik, who hasn't pitched in over a year because he had
2 years almost, right?
Yeah, he didn't pitch at all last season, so you have to go back 2 seasons for the last time he pitched. But he looked good. AJ Minter looked good. So, like, the big names that you expect to be performing, they're doing well. Darius Vines, he's kind of an upcomer. He got some run last year. He played okay. He had some scoreless innings, but he did walk a few. So, like, all in all, the players that you want to see performing defensively, they've been pretty good. Batting wise, we haven't gotten much outside of Michael Harris and
that's all we need.
Nacho Alvarez, who's trying to make it as a shortstop. He's done really well at the plate and defensively. Chadwick Tromp, the backup catcher. He has seen Tromp.
I don't know who he is.
He's a backup. Well, he is a catcher, but he's the backup. Because you got Sean Murphy, you got Darno, and then you have him. And he did get some run in the MLB when Darno was injured, so he does have some experience. He hit a bomb today, so he's played pretty well. But other than that, not a whole lot of note. Kelnick has been abysmal at the plate, which is not a good sign. But he has made a couple good defensive plays out there in left field. So we'll just have to see. It is spring. You can't get too hype. You can't get too down.
Yeah.
It's
162 game season. Super long. These definitely don't count. Right.
Yeah. And it's still nice to see them go out and perform. It is difficult when you have teams like the Dodgers out there just smoking everybody they play. Shohei Ohtani hit a bomb in his first action as a Dodger. Yamamoto pitched today, and his stuff was just as nasty as you expect. And they played against the Texas Rangers, the defending World Series champions, and he was pitching against their normal lineup. So Yeah, tore them up for sure.
Man.
It is.
It's not gonna count. It's just for warm ups.
Yeah, I feel you. So, like I said, you can't get too high, you can't get too low when it comes to spring ball. But I do want to see my boys out there hitting bombs, getting some run. I know last year Matt Olson had a fantastic spring, and it carried over into the season. So,
yeah. Have you been down to Grapefruit League play before?
No.
I heard it's a really cool experience.
Yeah.
I had to go down there, and then you can go to the beach. Might go golfing and run into the players.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure where Northport is. I know
it's north of Orlando. I had to look it up. I looked it up today.
Yeah, so they play in Bradenton, which is kind of southeast of Orlando and Disney.
Mm.
It's where IMG Academy is,
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I know.
And I think there's some stadiums in Tampa, which I think Tampa is like an hour or 45 minutes from Orlando. So it's all in that kind of like central Florida area. Yeah. But yeah, I've never been. Oh no, it would be a cool experience for sure to catch a game one time.
Yeah.
Knock it off the bucket list.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not too far off from one of the minor league teams out in Rome.
Rome Braves.
They are going through a name change, and it was pretty funny. They're not televising a lot of these spring games, but you can catch the broadcast on the radio through 680 The Fan. There's an app, and so I've been listening to it while working. And they were talking about the Rome Braves and their name change. They are going to be the Rome Emperors next year.
That's better than the Stripers.
And their mascot is a penguin in a toga.
Hey, I gotta get the hat though.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have that hat for sure.
I mean, those minor league teams have some of the hardest hats out there.
Yeah, like you seen the Trash Pandas?
Oh yeah, the Trash Pandas. You got the El Paso like fighting Chihuahuas or whatever they are.
Yeah.
No,
they have some good hats, but having one locally, that'd be cool.
Yeah, I mean, I've been to a couple of those games, been to a couple Chattanooga Lookouts games. I don't know who their affiliate is now. It was at one point, I think, the White Sox, and then it became the Dodgers, and it may still be the Dodgers. I know there was a lot of talk when Clayton Kershaw was going through a rehab stint, and he was up in Chattanooga.
Was he really?
Yeah, a lot of people were going to those games. Same thing when like Soroka and Fried were in Rome.
We're in Gwinnett. Or who was in Gwinnett? Acuna was in Gwinnett. Albies was in Gwinnett.
Yeah, I actually think Soroka and Fried also made their way through Gwinnett, but they locally here to me, when they were in Rome, it was big. It was a big deal.
Yeah, because you can get those tickets for the low.
Yeah, you can get
a lot more intimate setting.
You can get a box for like a suite for the low.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that'd be something cool to do too, man.
Yeah, for a kid's birthday party or something like that, it'd be fun too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
that's interesting. Maybe we'll. We've got some May and June BDAs coming up.
Yeah, had some that just passed.
Yeah. Happy 35th, 34th, 34th, 35.
6.
We're going backwards, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I share a birthday with one of the all-time greats, Tony Gonzalez. So
do you really?
Happy belated birthday to Tony G, my favorite Falcon. And he was my favorite before I found out we shared a birthday. So
was he?
Yeah.
I think Steph has my birthday. Chef Curry. I've always felt like that's why we shoot the same.
Oh yeah.
But maybe we were just damn, day before. But literally the day before.
Yeah.
Same year and everything.
That's cool. Oh yeah, because he's, he was a senior.
Class,
yeah, he went. We played him in basketball senior year. He was a senior.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, man. All right.
Yeah. So baseball season's right around the corner. Soccer season's underway. Football season will be here before we know it. And one of my favorite sports. There's not an Atlanta squad, so not gonna get a whole lot of run on the podcast. But Formula One kicks off this weekend.
So I don't want to start a new topic. I know we're going along as it is, but did you see the finish at Atlanta Motor Speedway this past weekend?
No.
Oh man, it was a scene straight out of Cars, like the Disney movie.
Yeah.
3-car wide finish. Oh man, it was amazing. You gotta check it out. But that was here, so I feel like I can mention it. Everybody go check that out. Well, we'll drop the YouTube link in the description.
I do have to drop a little anecdote there on NASCAR because I'm not a fan, but one of our radio hosts is quite a big fan, and he posted something specifically targeting F1, which I just told you I'm a big F1 fan. My dad and I went out to Austin for the Austin Grand Prix back in 2019. It was a great time. I was a fan before that, but that solidified, everything I already thought. But he made a post kind of slandering Formula One in favor of NASCAR, so I had to comment back, and he retweeted my comment today. Yeah, with another ignorant statement. So go check that out. I'm sure you can find it.
Yeah, I mean,
woo!
We definitely gotta look at that. Nah, it's carpeted in here. It's fine.
Don't know about those hand drills at the combine.
No, it's a phone, man, not a ball. And it's shaped like a V, right?
But yeah.
All right, let me see.
But anyways, we'll wrap it up. It's been another good night talking sports, Atlanta, all things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, rate,
comment,
review, hit that thumbs up. Yeah. Notification bell so you know when we post. Been trying to put one out every week for you. Please comment. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you want us to talk about.
Yeah, we'll give you more. You tell us, we'll give you more.
Yes, sir.
All right, man. To our success. Peace.
Peace.